Mr. Chairman, we are now recording the meeting and streaming live on YouTube. You may begin when you're ready.
All right, everybody, we're going to call this meeting to order. Welcome and good morning to the Metroplan Orlando TSMO meeting. I will be, I'll call this meeting to order. Yeah. My name is Brian Sanders and I'll be the chairman for the meeting today. This meeting's in person. It's important that all TSMO members attend our meetings in person, so all committee members are asked to be present at the MPO board meeting. For us to have a quorum, members of the public will still be able to participate virtually, and we encourage them to do so. There are two public comment points in the meeting. Members of the public attending in person who want to speak need to fill out a comment card, and we'll give it to Rachel. Those attending on Zoom who want to speak can use the raise hand feature on the Zoom screen. We also accept comments by email, phone, message before the meeting. Don't have any comments, so at this time I recognize Mr. Eric Hill.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, committee members. Happy holidays, everyone. Couple of announcements here. First thing is, as you entered the room, you saw the world famous Metroplan Orlando calendars at the desk up front. Everyone, please take one. You know, Christmas came a little early, or gift giving came a little early. So please take one or two if you have someone else that you want to gift. That's the first thing. I want to also identify Michael Lopez, who's representing the city of Lake Mary this morning, and Keith Moore is representing the city of Winter Park this morning. In the agenda, under the list of announcements and meetings, upcoming meetings, the December Central Florida Rail Committee meeting is being canceled. Also in the agenda under item 7B, under the tip amendments, we do have some information on one of those items. Jason Sartorio, when he gives the presentation, will cover that for us. And also at your place, you have a summary of the 2050 project prioritization methodology working session. That will be covered by Taylor Laurent at the as a joint presentation at TAC for those that are on TAC and those that can stay for the TAC meeting. And then lastly, prioritization process pilot program. That's 4 Ps. It's a discretionary grant that USDOT and FHWA announced in February. The vision of this 4P grant is to fund the development and implementation of pilot prioritization processes that support projects that are consistent with DOT's strategic goals. The purpose of the 4P is to support data-driven approaches to planning that can be evaluated for public benefits. Metroplan Orlando and Florida DOT District 5 partnered to submit a proposal entitled Metroplan Orlando Twin, the scale modeling techniques currently used for operational strategies such as the Regional Integrated Corridor Management System to the rest of the region. The proposal will enable a user interface such as a digital twin to allow us to examine how TSMO improvements may impact on the traveling public and increase the effectiveness of public engagement in current project prioritization processes for TSMO projects. Metroplan Orlando received a letter from USDOT FHWA on Monday that our grant application was awarded for $2 million. So just want to congratulate FDOT District 5 as well as Metroplan Orlando for receiving this award. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my comments, and I'll now turn it over to Mike Wilson for our safety. Oh, it's Alex. And though he didn't look like Mike Wilson.
But I'll try to do the safety moment justice in his absence. Mike is actually training as part of our Orange County SS4A demos. We're doing a demonstration in Orange County, a middle school bicycle education program, and Mike's actually training those trainers this morning on that. So he's putting in good time. So I'm going to be pinch hitting for Mike. You'll hear from Laura at TAC this morning, but nonetheless, This week is Older Driver Safety Awareness Week. We're also in the holiday season, so I'm not going to be focusing on those statistics today. But as we know, this is the time of year where more people are driving around, so we want to make sure we're cautious and driving sober. I saw a lot of those signs as I was driving the turnpike and other interstates through the Thanksgiving holiday. But nonetheless, again, older driver awareness, and as we do, we're going to start with the numbers, taking a looking at these numbers here. When you look at the statistics, 48 crashes per year involving someone 65 or older. So that does not mean that the person 65 older was the fatal, just that they were involved in the crash itself. And then as you look at these numbers, they do have a lower rate comparatively, so we're not seeing kind of disproportionate impacts here to this age cohort, which is good news, especially in the nighttime crashes and those statistics, which Mike spoke to a little more in his presentations to CAC and MAC as someone within that age, but he spoke to awareness and knowing one's abilities, and maybe that playing into some of those statistics being lower. But nonetheless, Florida, our market is an aging population. We are kind of both for those visiting, but also people retiring here in our area, but also throughout the state. FDOT has a coalition focused on this safe mobility for life. It's not just about safety. It's about access and aging in place within Florida and making the most of that in the resources that are available to them. So check that out if you aren't already available or already part of that particular coalition. And with that, as we've done at past meetings, this is going to be a little more than a moment. Historically, you've had an SS4A presentation from Mike or someone else from the team on the agendas. We wrapped up the plan, and you're having these moments. But as you can see here on this slide, we won, a TSMO forecasting, digital twin grant. We also were awarded just a couple weeks ago, round 2 for SS4A for supplemental planning. So that's really good news. We're going to be able to continue the momentum. We have an action plan. It gives us a long list of to-dos. And we were awarded additional funds to kind of start seeing that through in more detail. So you're going to start hearing a lot more about that at your future meetings, as well at our Vision Zero Task Force meetings. That group will continue to help us row in the right direction. Some of our other partners were also awarded recently, so this is good news for the region. Orange County is a direct recipient as well. Sanford Airport Authority was another recipient. They're going to be developing an airport-specific safety action plan. We'll be coordinating with them on that. UCF, located in our study area, but was awarded work to do outside of our study in Lake and Sumter County. So good news for UCF as well. And our friends at the City of Castle Bear were also awarded during that second round of demonstration grants. So really good news there. Again, additional resources to help us continue the momentum that we've made over the past 18 months. And with that, you'll be hearing a lot more about this at your future meetings. But with that, that's my safety moments. Thanks, everyone.
Very nice when the plan comes together, things begin to roll out. That's great. Next, we have agency reports. This is an opportunity for our partner agencies to bring information and updates to this committee. If you have an item that you'd like to bring, make sure you coordinate with Eric and Rachel about a week ahead of time, and we'll put you on the schedule. As of today, we have Amy Beckman for our regular FDOT report.
Good morning, Chair and Committee. Nice to see everyone again. I hope everyone had a nice holiday. Welcome to non-hurricane season. So I'm going to keep a very brief update on a few things going on right now. Speaking of hurricane, we have finished up with Hurricane Milton in our district. Luckily, we're pretty much at that tail end of it. But I did want to point out that we did pick up over 35,000 cubic yards of debris for just Milton alone. So it was quite the endeavor. It was quite the experience this year. And hopefully there have been lessons learned and we can continue to grow. I am going to point out to you that on Monday, our tentative work program started. Most of you are aware what the work program means. It's basically our budget for the next 5 years. So it is open online. The website is above you on the screen, as well as a QR code that will take you directly to our site. Our work program office will be here to talk to you guys in your January, February board cycle about it, but it is available now, and our comment period does close on December 20th. So if you would like to go in and look at that and submit your commentary, please do so. In order to be part of the public record, those comments do have to be received by December 20th. Also, while we're talking about big plans with our tentative work program, we also have our Florida transportation plan is still alive and well, much like your metropolitan transportation plan that Taylor's working on. She'll talk to you a little bit later about. We are also in the state of Florida working on our statewide one. You can go to floridaftp.com to get updated information and participate in those committees I've mentioned to you in the past. Other than that, I was just going to point out one event that's going on. FDOT is taking part and participating in Jordan's Sporting Goods Store. That's going to take place on December 14th. It's with the Jordan, and pardon me if I mispronounce the name, Smelsky. He was a young child who passed away, and his parents have made a foundation where they take used and donated sporting goods and give them out to children in the community. So we are participating in that. Again, it's December 14th. It's going to be at 1965 South OBT in Apopka. It's, I believe it, I want to say Journey Church or Christian Church there, but they're going to have it where they're doing bike helmet fittings and giving out sporting good equipment to children that need it. So anyone who shows up is welcome to come and take some things there. And that'll be going on from 7:30 to 5 p.m. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to hear them now or afterwards, but that concludes my report. Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you, Amy, very much. The next we'll have the roll call. Rachel, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Barden,
Here.
Crandell for Barkessa,
Here.
Henry for Brock,
Here.
Lopez for Carson,
Here.
Cologne,
Here.
De La Shaye,
Here.
Ide, Elisar, Elliot Moore, Gordon,
Here.
Poole,
Here.
Horn,
Here.
Hirsch,
Here.
Hoon,
Here.
Jameson,
Here.
Krug, Moore for Lim,
Here.
Mendenhall,
Online.
Mahyson,
Present.
Nelson,
Present.
Price, Fulham, Sanders, Senerans,
Here.
Smith,
Present.
Wetzel, Martello for Williams,
Here.
Yeager,
Present.
Yeargain.
Here.
That concludes the roll call, Mr. Chairman. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Now we'll move on to public comment. If we will now hear from the public on our action items. We ask that you provide your name and address for the record. Please hold your comments to 2 minutes or less. If any members of the public wish to comment and are joining us virtually, please use the raise hand function. If you'll be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad. We'll send you a prompt to unmute your mic. Do we have anyone joining us virtually? Lisa?
Mr. Chair, I see no hands raised on the virtual side.
Okay, very good. Any members attending in public wish to make the comment? Rachel?
No comments
No
received.
comment? Eric, any emails,
None at all.
phone calls,
None.
smoke signals? Okay, very good.
No Morse code. either.
Nor. Okay, all right. We'll go on to the action items. We have 4 action items today. The first action item is approval of the October 25th, 2024 TSMO meeting minutes.
Motion to approve, Elisar.
Very good.
Smith, second.
Very good. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed. The next item is FDOT amendment to the 2025-29 Transportation Improvement Program. Mr. Sartorio, please proceed.
Morning, Chairman and committee members. This morning, I have several tip amendments for you. Additional information regarding these amendments looking in tab 2 of your agendas. As mentioned by Eric during agenda review, we do have one change from what is provided in the agenda packets this morning. At this time, Metroplan Orlando staff is recommending pulling the amendment for FM number 447104-1 from action today. And this amendment item will be brought back upon further review of additional information by Metroplan Orlando staff. With that being said, we have 5 other action items for your consideration today. One for a federal transit emission discretionary grant received by Lynx. 2 other federal resilience grants individually received by Orange County and Osceola County, which will focus on improving stormwater management. And in addition, we have 2 items related to I-4 Beyond the Ultimate South, Moving Florida Forward initiative. The 2 projects will add an additional lane in each direction on I-4 from east of US 27 to east of World Drive. As I mentioned earlier, you have some additional information on these amendments looking in tab 2 of your agendas. At this time, we're requesting approval of the items presented today, excluding FM number 447104-1, which is a resurfacing project on State Road 500 in Orange County, which will come back following further review. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions from Mr. Sartorio? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Shad Smith, I move to approve the 5 items tabling the FM number 447104-1.
Very good.
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion pass. Thank you, Mr. Sartorio. The next item is amendments to the 2045 MTP, and we have Taylor. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. So we have a few proposed amendments to the 2045 plan. This is our current MTP, which was adopted back in 2020, and we've been implementing and maintaining over the past 5 years, and will continue to do so until such time as the 2050 MTP is adopted. So you normally see me here talking about the future. Today, we're talking about our current long-range plan. So to begin with, our first revision is a tip refresh. This is an administrative update that we do every year around this time to make sure that the first 5 years of the long-range plan are in line and match with the 5 years of our transportation improvement program. That generally includes updating cost estimates to make sure that everything is in line with what's shown in the current 5-year budget. With these changes, along with the proposed tip amendments that have been approved in October, November, and December, those are also included. And with that, there are no impacts to existing project cost feasibility. So again, these are administrative updates. Our second revision is in a similar vein. Within our transportation improvement program, there is a locally funded project section, which is included to maintain planning consistency for those locally funded projects that don't have state or federal dollars associated with them, but we still want them to be considered in the planning process. So this second revision is to update those same locally funded projects within our long-range plan to show that planning consistency. So that way those projects are then considered by other agencies when projects are being evaluated and considered, such as a roadway near the turnpike. We want to make sure that that roadway is being considered as any changes are being made to the turnpike. So with these updates, there are no impacts to existing project cost feasibility. Then our third item are other minor revisions. So throughout the year, we generally receive a few requests of, hey, there's a typo here. Can we get that changed? Can we update these other items? These are really just the small elements that we, again, maintain for planning consistency to make sure that everything's there and together. So this includes the addition of developer-funded projects within Osceola County. They're not state or federally funded or locally funded in this case, but they're being included for planning consistency for that consideration for other projects occurring within the area. A few cost estimate updates for a few projects that are under construction in Osceola County, a removal of one duplicate project on table 15, our transit list, and then a few typographical edits being made to the West Orange Trail projects, phases 4B and 4D. No changes to existing project cost feasibility. These are all administrative updates for that planning consistency. So unless there are any questions, we are asking for your recommendation of approval for the proposed revisions as they've been presented today.
Okay. My question is the link that was on there for the updated document. Is there one it's a markup of so you can see it, or is it just changed? I didn't see any markups on it, but maybe I missed.
No, it would be changed. So in your agenda packets, there should have been an overview of proposed plan revisions,
Okay.
which documents all of the individual changes that, well,
Okay.
not
Yeah.
every single one. 'cause
Didn't
the
see
tip
that. I was
is a
looking through
couple
the other
hundred pages.
document looking for highlights or something and couldn't find it. So it's just a list. Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions for Taylor? Taylor, thank you so much for all your patience with Orange County. We've had we often have a lot of things we're juggling at one time, but you've been very patient and very accommodating. So I really appreciate that. So do I have a motion for approval?
So moved, Mahison.
Very good.
Second, Smith.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you very much. It passed.
I also want to thank Taylor and her staff for working with us too. I know how much we have to coordinate and give her information and, and we're just one county. So, just imagine all that times
Oh,
the
yeah.
counties, the cities, all of us. So thank you
It's a
so
lot.
very much.
Well, thank you very much
Yeah.
for your kind words. I know we strive to maintain that partnership organization, so I'm glad that that's the experience we're all having.
All right. Very good. Now, our final action item is the election of officers for 2025. And Mr. Elisar is going to give a presentation as the officer subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subcommittee met on November 8th and decided to nominate our current vice chair, Lee Bulham, from CFTOD as the new chair for 2025, and she accepted the nomination. So we'd like to make a motion to approve her nomination.
This time, are there any other nominees? Seeing none. Do we have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Great.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Congratulations. All
Our
right.
second nomination is for the new vice chair for 2025, and the subcommittee decided to nominate Christina Colon from Osceola County for that position, and she accepted the nomination as well.
Very good. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, do we have a motion for approval?
I move to approve. Christine Colon.
Second, Centerins.
Very good. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Congratulations. All right. Now we'll move on to the presentations. We have two presentations. And the first one is the annual signal maintenance. Okay. Very good. Tricia Ballard, please go ahead and present. Hey, you're on.
It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning to give a recap of the maintaining agency meeting that we held on November 19th at the RTMC in Sanford. This meeting was an opportunity for all of our local agencies to come together to discuss lessons learned, best practices, and just to be able to have the opportunity to collaborate with each other. It was geared towards our signal technician managers and supervisors, as well as traffic engineering and operations staff who are involved with the maintenance program. We were very excited that Roger Smith with Orange County was our facilitator. He did an awesome job with that, so kudos to him. This was also the first maintaining agency meeting that we've had in close to a decade, so there was a great opportunity and was well received. So I just want to go over some of the main topics that were on the agenda and that were discussed during the meeting. Of course, general maintenance concerns. That was an open discussion with the agencies. In general, just a discussion about equipment, manufacturers, vendor, the issues and lead times that the agencies have been dealing with, as well as placement within the cabinets and placement at the signal, and lessons learned and best practices regarding the equipment. Specific equipment that did come up during the discussion were ATC cabinets, lumineers, and the audible PED signals. Some of the discussion around that was the ATC controller, or cabinets, I should say, is a new product that's out there that some agencies are trying out, doing some pilot programs. So during our discussion at the meeting, there were some questions as far as how agencies are planning to implement that, where that's going to be used at. So very good discussion as far as what's advancements are coming in the industry related to the ATC cabinets. We also went in depth as far as APS, audible PED signals. So of course, there is some recent language updates to the MUTCD. So that is a general concern and some questions about that. So we went into a pretty good in-depth discussion on what may be coming in the future and expectations. And lumineers was also a equipment discussion. Mast arms, I won't go too much in depth on this, but there have been some inspection processes the department holds that's going to become a little bit more rigorous, and part of our discussion involved what the inspection reports entail, what our process, how that goes, as well as how the agencies themselves may be able to come up with contracts or be able to inspect their own mast arms that are off system. The next item that was a big discussion point was the traffic signal maintenance and compensation agreement, or the TSMCA. Of course, we do have the requirements in the agreement. One of the biggest topic that came of this item was the inspection reports that I alluded to about the mast arms and what requirements are on the maintaining agencies as far as repairs and what is entailed following the inspection reports received from our structures maintenance office. And also the department schedule. We discussed the next fiscal year, what the schedule, our work program process, how that cycle would flow, and some of the changes that we're looking to implement for ensuring that the Exhibit A's are sent out to everybody in a timely manner, which did just occur this past week, and upcoming fiscal year, what we're going to be handling, how we're going to be proceeding with that. Which similar topic was the damage reimbursement process. Our agencies had some good discussion points on this as far as drivers. There's a lot of crashes on the roadway, so understanding the damage reimbursement process, claims process that's handled through the TSMCA, that was a very good discussion. And it was great that all the agencies obviously have their own challenges and were able to discuss amongst themselves some lessons learned, how they tackle damages, and how they proceed to repair. The signal plan review process was a topic as well. Pretty common, I would say, amongst the agencies that there is a little room for improvement as far as how they're receiving plans internally, disseminating it amongst the staff, but making sure that the review process is handled in a seamless manner. And it was a good opportunity for everybody to discuss some of the processes specifically that they've been able to enact to ensure that stuff doesn't get missed and try to shore that up. The signal turn on process. I say signal turn on process, but really our discussion dived into construction in general. Some of the agencies, CEI, trying to coordinate with CEI, contractors. Part of the discussion just was big picture, how do agencies handle when there's challenges with workmanship and quality? So it was awesome to hear, everybody's kind of in the same situation, deal with the same issues, whether it's the contractor, manufacturer, and hearing how everybody is able to come up with their own plan and lessons learned, so nobody else is going to have to deal with the same issues. We'll be able to figure a great way to proceed forward for their respective area. Cabinet and network security. This was really a great chance to just discuss the network security, cyber keys, cyber locks, where agencies are going with that, what the protocol is, SOPs involved, as well as the physical components of the cabinet itself. Hurricane response, as we all know, that was a biggie for this year. Everybody across our district was impacted pretty heavily. I know the department, we had 300 plus signals where we had damage, so we were sending out contractors. But as part of our agency meeting, we did expand upon what the department's role is, our H and Z contracts, and how our emergency response is handled. And of course, our local partners explain how their contract structures are, challenges they faced as aftermath to the hurricane. So that was a really good discussion to see how everybody responded to being able to act quickly given the amount of damage from Milton. That was an extraordinary event. So, and lastly, awesome discussion we had. We did probably a half day, 8 a.m. to 12, ended around noontime, was a full discussion with all the agencies. So like I said, this was the first maintaining agency meeting we've had in probably the past decade. So we are definitely going to make this a recurring meeting. We are going to look for a potential hybrid meeting in the second quarter of next year, given how well this one went. So we'll be reaching out soon to see if there's a good time frame, maybe in the springtime, that works to do a hybrid meeting. With that, if there's any questions, be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ballard. Is there any reactions, any questions, comments from the committee? Okay,
Okay.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Appreciate that presentation. The next presentation is the I-4 Florida's Regional Advanced Mobility Elements Frame project, and Dr. Rawa Adla is going to present. You're recognized.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for the invitation today, and I'm here to represent a part of the project of I-4 Frame. I'm from Florida Polytechnic University. We're doing a research on transportation system, and we contracted with FDOT on researching and evaluating the impact of communication technologies on safety and mobility measures. So I'm going to go today over the project background, talking about the issues behind the project and project objectives, and I will share with you steps of the evaluation along with the results. And I will end up my presentation with our recommendations to FDOT. As we know, I-4 is the main road, especially in the state of Florida, and I-4 Frame basically is an extensive research and extensive project that they are looking to implement different integrated corridor management on the I-4. The area covered is basically 4 counties, and it's spread over 347 miles between highway and arterial roads. A total number of RSUs, 689 RSUs will be implemented. Each RSU will be capable of communicating using DSRC and 4G. Here is an area of the I-4 corridor for I-4 Frame that we see that it's spanning from maybe the southwest of Orlando all the way to mid Tampa. What we see is arterial road, turnpike toll, and definitely the I-4. The background and the behind of all the project of I-4 frame is a safety and mobility. So looking at some statistics from the 2018, we see the huge number of crashes, fatal crashes and injury crashes, and other related to human safety. Mobility, it's an average of 2-lane closures events per day, which sometimes we see a full closure for 1 lane or 2 lanes that it affect definitely the traffic delay, and the number of annual average daily traffic considerably is very high. So looking at these numbers, we thought about the project objective is maybe implementing all these connected technologies gonna improve the traffic safety and traffic mobility. So our part was to evaluate the benefits before they go into the implementation. This is phase 1 of the project, where we went into evaluating what's the benefit and are these technologies definitely they're gonna have a valuable benefits towards the transportation. So first, we looked into assess the benefits of connected vehicles. Specifically, we're talking about vehicle to infrastructure. And consider these benefits to the market penetration of the onboard unit and onboard unit emulators. And also, we looked at the mobility and the safety and compare the difference between the OPUs and the OPU emulator. Just to mention about the difference between OPU and OPU emulators, we know that we're still behind from the OEM perspective on having vehicles equipped with OPU. So if that is looking for implementing this technology into OPU emulator, which is kind of something that if we use our cell phones. So we still use this communication technology. We just assess the difference. Do we still get these benefits? In order to do this, we went over different tasks. The first task that I went over it is replicating I-4 crash patterns on a microscopic simulation. Because I'm using a microscopic simulation and the area is over 347 miles, so we picked one hotspot of fatal crash. A heat map of crashes was done over the I-4, and the highest number of crashes and congestion we notice it's the interchange between I-4 and I-75 in Tampa's area. This is what we see over here. So 3.25 miles replicated in a simulation. And we verified the data. We verified the simulation, by comparing the traffic pattern and the number of crashes between the simulation and between exactly what happened in 2020. We collected data from 2020, definitely with the help from FDOT and using greatest data to replicate it in our simulation model. And to have our simulation replicating exactly the traffic, we built 3 models. One is representing the AM model. We know that the peak time in the AM is spreading between 6 and 9, and one for the PM model between 4 and 7, and one for the regular day. So we generated 3 models, and then we evaluated the data. All data was collected in the simulated area from 6 detectors. As I said, we used latest data over here. And for assessment, we used the SSAM that was developed by the Federal Highway to assess the mobility standards. Here is a comparison between the simulation result and the real crashes that happened back in 2020. And we see kind of the orange line is what the simulation shows, and the blue is what's the real. So relatively, and if we're going to look at the crash ratio, they are kind of similar. So started from this point, and we calibrated the simulation, we validated it, and now we start implementing these connected vehicles technology into the simulation in order to assess the benefits. We picked 2 traffic applications out of what FDOT is planning to put on the road. The first one was the speed warning and enforcement, which is TM17, where it notifies all these vehicles about the speed profile before they reach the queue area. As the second applications that we chose, it's a reduced speed zone and work closure. The first implementation without any data analysis, this is what we see just to validate that our application is implemented and all vehicles are receiving this communication. The one on the left side, it shows how the speed warning and enforcement, the vehicle was driving on around 70 miles per hour, the 35 is meter per second, and then suddenly dropped the speed based on the message that it received. Once it passed this condition area, the vehicle is go again to the high speed. So just to validate that vehicles are receiving these messages. And the second one, the one on the top is without implementation, and the first lane has a lane closure. So we see the vehicles backing behind, and the second one with implementation, there is no queue. We move to the next step to evaluate the benefit and quantify it. The first application, reduced speed zone warning lane closure. We simulated it in a microscopic simulation, again, using VISM, and we use the AM model over here. Just to simulate it, we used a stop bus. We put bus on the first line and we stopped it, and we looked at the traffic queue. By analyzing the data, we see the queue start to build up. We're not saying that it's gonna freeze a queue behind the lane closure, but it's gonna build up slowly. As you see, the first line, maybe around 150 seconds where it's gonna start the queue. While with the implementation, we see the queue will start slowly. Looking at the number of crashes, we see a good reduction. So with a 20% market penetration for OPUs, we see a good reduction of crashes, which is around 26% less crashes. And that's great. We're talking only about 20% vehicles equipped with OPU. Looking at 100% vehicles equipped with the OPU, 30% less number of crashes. And again, I'm talking only about one application, which is a reduced speed warning. The second application also we tested for connected vehicle is a speed warning and enforcement. And number-wise, the first table that you see with the implementation and with only 20% vehicle, it's more often to clear the queue. Like as soon as the queue is gonna start building up, maybe after a few seconds, it's gonna clear and through. While without implementation, with the queue is built, it's gonna stay for a longer time. Number of crashes, again, with 100% market penetration, here is a great result. The number of crashes dropped to 42%. 20%, still we have improvement, which is 13% less crashes. So that will give us a really good recommendation about going towards this technology. We're going to get better benefits. Now, because we're looking at the early stages where most of our cars these days, they don't have OPUs. So we looked at what's the difference between OPU and OPU emulator. If I'm using my phone and my phone is receiving these messages, how it's going to work. We know that the communication between DSRC and 5G, and we have a packet drop late, we have a delay. So we compared what's the benefit and assess the benefit using both. What we see over here, the packet drop rate with the OPU emulator is higher than the OPU, but we still get benefits. So with the OPU, the packet drop rate is kind of going slowly until we reach the second RSU. With the OPU emulator, 5G is showing higher packet drop rate. We put the OPU emulator into these applications of reduced speed zone and OPU, and we compare the results. The first line on the top, this is the red line, that's without implementation. And the rest that you see between blue and orange, these are different market penetration. And what we see over here is with 100% market penetration, the queue length and the packet is perfect. OPUE, it shows a little bit less than the OPU, but look at the result, 20% market penetration of OPU emulator. We reduce 19% of the crashes. With OPU, yes, we did 23%. So I believe still we see huge benefit using the phones or OPU emulator. 100%, almost they are the same. 30% reduction using OPU emulator or OPU. Speed warning and enforcement, we were looking at the congestion level, and to study what is the congestion level, basically I was looking at the queue lengths. How long is the queue starting from where the vehicles start communicating and receiving these messages? And again, if I'm looking at the numbers, they are kind of similar. With 100%, we're improving the congestion and the crashes. After all these analysis, we initiate our recommendation to FDOT that going ahead and implementing this technology, we will get a really higher benefit on the I-4. And now we are in phase 2 of the project where FDOT is starting with the implementation along the I-4 based on this analysis. So this project gave us an insight about the safety and mobility of different connected vehicle technology along the I-4. Also, we were able to show the percentage of improvement. We understand how is the OPU is different than the OPU emulator, what kind of benefits that we're going to use until we reach the 100% of the OPU implementation. Great question.
Much for
Thank
that
you.
presentation. Do we have any questions, comments from the committee? Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Adela, thank you for the good presentation. Very interesting. Could you explain the different, how does the OBU emulator function? Is it something that you get like a notice or to your phone, cell phone, you're alerted? What if your phone is muted, and how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, it was part of the project, but just because the time limit, I removed this part. So I'm glad that you asked of it. The first implementation, maybe you know about FL511 app, that FDOT control. So we evaluated FL511, Waze, and some other mapping apps. And we looked at the technology in it, if we can create an app implemented into FL511. So as soon as you sit in your car, just you turn it on, and then it's gonna receive these messages from the RSUs. And it's gonna notify you. So this is what we mean with the OPU emulator. It's basically an app on your phone, but we're looking for if we put it into FL511.
So you do have a choice to whether or not you want to receive such an
Currently, because we're talking about driver, you do have a choice if you want to turn it on or off. But we're looking at the future where all vehicles are autonomous. I think the vehicle will not be able to turn on the system, turn off the system.
I have another question. You mentioned that you took the data during the 2020, and we all know that was the pandemic year. How confident are you about getting such numbers on that?
That was one of our consideration. We tried to pick a day that it was a normal day and not a holiday or not just a regular day. And I believe the day, can't remember the date, if it was something in March, but in our analysis where we put the heat map and the selection of date, we looked into this stuff.
I mean, don't you feel that the data should have been collected prior, a year prior or after? Because
yeah,
most of traffic studies are we kind of cancel those if they're done within a
2020. Definitely. Also, we looked at the 2021. So we ran the simulation on different data. All these data was collected from 6 detectors on between I-4 and 75, considering all these exits. And we got an access to Redis. So we collected the data on 2 different days with 2 different timing. And definitely, as you said, the pandemic will affect everything. So it wasn't part of our really assessments.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks again for your presentation. How would you explain the reduction in benefit for crash reductions with the increase in penetration rate?
The increase in penetration rate, that means more vehicles are receiving these communications. So, for example, when we talk about lane closure, A vehicle a mile ahead, it's gonna receive a message, hey, the first lane is closed, try to move on to the second lane and to the third lane. Okay, 20% of the cars, they're gonna receive this message, or 100% of the cars, they're gonna receive the message. So this is how I don't know, did I answer your question correctly?
It's on the number of users, basically.
The reduction is based on the number of users of these OPUs, or I would say the number of vehicle equipped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We didn't look into the driver behavior. I believe the driver, like in the first case, when we use the OPU emulator, as he said, okay, I might turn it off, right? When I say 20%, that means 20% are following the command.
Any other questions? Yeah, I think the key is penetration and getting more penetration into the vehicles and, not being able to turn that off, but, that's, some people see that as a huge intrusion, right? So, and it takes a long time to get the OBUs into the system, 10 years or more to turn over the equipment, that's on the road. I would be an emulator because my vehicle's from 2004. So, so it just takes some time. It takes the technology, and really appreciate DOT partnering with Florida Polytechnic to further this technology. It's good. It's driving to zero is what we're all trying to do. So thank you very much, Doctor, and hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. All right, next we're going to move on to its common presentations and status reports. We have 4 common presentations with TAC, so if you're able to stay, we encourage you to do so. It will include the 2050 MTP status update, the 417 connection to Sanford International Airport study. Best Foot Forward will provide the annual report, and there'll be an update on the EV readiness study. Other meetings of interest coming up will be the Metro Plan Board meeting on December 11th. And the next TSMO meeting will be on January 24th at our normal time of 8:30. At this time, we'll switch over to the final public comments. Do we have any one online with raised hands?
Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised on the virtual side.
Okay, any comment cards received?
None received, Mr. Chairman.
No.
Member comments.
Okay,
Go back.
I skipped up. I skipped member comments. Do any of the members have any comments before we adjourn? I see none. You have a comment?
I was, Mr. Chairman, I was gonna let you know that, no, I did not receive any smoke signals since we've been in this meeting. But I also wanted to recognize your time in serving as chair. It's been great to work with you, and you put up with my foibles when I send you the script or send you information. But I just want to recognize your time, and as well as Lee's time as vice chair, and look forward to work with her in the chair's position. And Christine left, she left, but is gonna recognize her as well and look forward to work with her as well. So with that.
Appreciate those comments,
thank
and
you.
it's a pleasure to serve as always. So with that, if we have nothing else, then I'm going to call this meeting to adjournment. Thank you.